Is Black American speech becoming tonal?
Tonal, I think.
Tonal? Let me see.
Yeah, uh,
Yeah, tonal. Yeah, no, apologies, guys.
tonal. Yeah. We did react to this guy. I think over a month ago now. That video was fascinating, and it's doing really well. Like
Yeah, it is
I think it's got like 60K views or so, which is
for sure.
you know interesting. But what do you think he means by tonal?
I'm actually not sure of this one. What about you?
I'm gonna take a crazy guess. I'm gonna say maybe like the tone can determine the meaning of like the words. You know, I don't know if you get what I'm coming from, Mike.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I feel like that the tone determines what the
No, no,
word.
I understand now. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. Smash this like button, guys. Sub to our Patreon, for music reactions plus any content that we cannot drop on the main channel. Link in the description. Enough talking. Let's dive in there.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So, a few weeks ago, I saw a linguistics question on Reddit that made me do a double take. The question was startling in its simplicity, and I think a lot of the responses it got didn't do it justice. If you've just clicked on this video, you already know it was, is Black American speech becoming tonal? Here's the rest of the question. For context, I'm a white Englishman living in Las Vegas. Guess I should do the voice. And when I hear two Black Americans talking to one another, they can, when they wish, speak in a version of English which seems to have mainly open syllables. The only instance in which I've seen any attempt to write down this version of English is that on social media you will see Black Americans use the word white people to mean white people, with a connotation of, since you're a Black American and so am I, we're talking about racism again, and you know what I mean. What I'm wondering is whether in the loss of final consonants is making this version of English tonal, as is reconstructed to have happened to Chinese, and whether anyone's looked at this at all. Is there now a difference between exemplar gratis, Q for cute, and Q for cube? I think there is, but I have a bad ear, and I also don't spend my time eavesdropping on Black people for reasons. It would be fascinating if we could take a snapshot of this happening. Now, there's a lot to unpack there beyond my accent. Lots of people just derisively responded no and claimed OP has no idea what he's talking about. But there's actually a lot going on that makes this a better question than it might seem. And I don't think it's generally a good practice to tear somebody down for asking a question in good faith. Is this just exoticizing Black English and falling into some kind of weird linguistic noble savage trope? I don't think so. So, while I don't think Las Vegas Black English is tonal yet, I think this is a great opportunity to steelman the question, and along the way, discuss why a majority of Americans don't always understand Black American speech, what makes a language like Mandarin or Zulu tonal, and how tone even happens in a language. It's a really fascinating process that often results in related languages having opposite tones, which is super cool. What's going on with pitch in Black English anyway, and another interpretation of Opie's observation to consider that just conspires with a few elements to seem like the beginning of a tonal system. Today we'll cover syllable coda simplification, tonogenesis, ethnic differences in pitch range, contrastive focus, and a handful of other topics. If you've noticed that I'm not Black and you're wondering who I am and why bother listening to anything I have to...
That's funny, bro, because the last time we reacted to him, a lot of people in the comments were like, why is he talking about Black English? Like, what does he know about Black English? He's not Black. He wouldn't understand. But like, I mean, I believe he's an English educator or something like that. So,
And his points were quite fair, to be fair.
yeah, you don't have to be Black to understand, what's going on, right?
If you've been around Blacks,
Yeah,
all your life, you sound like them. You relate to them. So maybe he's been around a lot of Black people.
yeah, and he's an English expert, So
to say about Black English, that's fair. That's a fair question. On the one hand, I grew up in Black speech communities. I live in one now. My closest family and friends all speak Black English, and it's one of the language varieties that I...
Mike, you said it. You're right.
Grew up code switching between. On the other hand, I studied linguistics in grad school, wrote an entire dissertation on regional variation in Black American accents. I've published many double-blind peer-reviewed papers on Black English. I'm currently co-authoring a descriptive grammar of Black English with Dr. Hiram Smith, and I do a fair amount of expert witness work, helping use my expertise to dispel confusion around Black speech. If you're new to the channel, I'm Dr. Taylor Jones. I've got a PhD in linguistics from the University of Pennsylvania, and on the channel, I discuss everything related to language, linguistics, language learning, and culture. And if you're into those things, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. Today, we're going to take an unusual question seriously. Is Black American speech becoming tonal? This is Language Jones. Hey, quick break from our linguistics deep dive because I've been obsessed with something that makes language learning way more fun. LingoPie, the streaming platform that actually helps you learn languages through TV and movies. Here's how it works.
Okay.
You watch real shows and films in your target language, but with interactive subtitles. You can click any word or phrase, see the translation instantly, and automatically add it to your flashcards. It's like Netflix and Anki had a bilingual baby. I love it. Oh, and you can slow everything down. You can replay the audio. It's fantastic. And this is the part linguists will love. You're not just memorizing isolated vocabulary lists. You're seeing language in context, learning how pragmatics, intonation, and culture all fit together. Exactly how we acquire language naturally. I've been using it for French and Italian, and I just started using it for Hebrew, and it is wild how quickly you start picking up real expressions, not textbook phrases. Not only that, but you hear how things are actually spoken at speed by real people with emotion, and that's sometimes very different from what you see in your textbooks or on apps that use AI voices. LingoPie's got content in over a dozen languages, so like me, you can pick up multiple at once if you're feeling brave. If you want to try it out, use my link in the description for 55% off the annual plan and see how much language you can learn just by binge watching.
Check it out, guys.
Let's get linguistic again.
Love that.
Before we get to anything else, we have to start with some basic facts that linguists have known for a long time, but that are still surprising to a lot of people. Many Black Americans speak a different language variety with its own rules. This doesn't mean Black folks speak classroom English wrong. They're doing a totally different thing with its own sound rules, its own grammar rules, words, idiomatic expressions, and even cultural preferences and norms around discourse. But y'all ain't ready for that conversation. Not every Black person speaks this way, and not everybody who speaks this language variety is Black. I know a Korean lunch counter owner in Harlem who speaks it fluently as a second language, and I even know a ton of non-Black Jews who acquired Black English from their peers while Black children were acquiring Hebrew at a now-defunct Harlem-based Hebrew language charter school. Point is, it's a language variety, not a racial pathology. A phrase that I have to say a surprising amount about a wide range of different languages. I've got a whole video about some of the grammar of Black English that I'll link to at the end if you want to see more. That out of the way, what the fuck is a tonal language? Unsurprisingly, linguists who can't even agree on what constitutes a word have a hard time pinpointing what makes a language tonal. But the basic idea is that it's a language where pitch, literally what note you make with your voice, serves a lexical or grammatical function. Let me translate that. You're probably all familiar with Mandarin, which has contour tone. The tones have little melodies. Every syllable has one. You can't not. And the choice of little melody changes the meaning of the syllable. So the usual example is that ma, 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 and ma all mean different things. Ma means mother, ma means hemp, ma means horse, ma means to scold, and ma turns a sentence.
That's absolutely insane, bro. That's what a lot of people have said. Mandarin is probably the most difficult language to learn, you know, because like use certain muscles in your throat, you know, to be able to pronounce some of these words. Man. That's mad, you know.
Ma means hemp, ma means horse, ma means to scold, and ma turns a sentence into a question. So, does mom scold the horse's hemp? A totally normal sentence I often ask is, well,
Mama.
in some languages, though, tone serves a grammatical function, so the same verb might be past tense or future or negated based on tone alone. And in most languages with tone, especially outside of East Asia, the contrast isn't with melodies, but just with the difference between high and low pitches. The reason it gets difficult to nail tone down is that there's also what's called pitch accent, which may or may not be a subset of tone depending on who you ask. So Japanese and Swedish differentiate words based on which syllable gets a pitch prominence rather than assigning a pitch to every syllable. That's how the same word, anden, can mean the duck or the spirit, depending on whether you say it
Anden.
or
Anden.
This is why I always struggled studying Zulu, because without a speaker to help you, you can't learn from a book how to pronounce something like umfundisi right to make it either teacher or priest. This is distinct from how English uses intonation to communicate other things like speaker stance and emotion. Shit, boy. So why is this even a question? Well, remember how OP said that he noticed it sounded like a lot of open syllables? He's noticing a real thing about Black English, and the shift from having syllables with closing consonants or multiple consonants after the vowel, what linguists call complex codas, is a big way that languages develop tone. More on that in a second. So Black English allows for a lot of different types of coda cluster simplification. In the phonology chapter of the book I'm co-authoring on Black English, there's pages and pages and pages on syllable codas.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he broke down other languages as well, not just Black English, to get a more of a total understanding of tones all over the world, which was very fascinating.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You reckon, like, I don't know, because he's bringing Mandarin and other languages, you reckon maybe Black English is moving into that same category where, the pitch.
I don't think it's as difficult where 8 things are the same word. That is a mad thing. But
yeah,
I get what you're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
You know that old SNL gag, it's got everything? Well, syllable codas in Black English can sometimes be the opposite. So for examples, you can optionally delete final S. It doesn't matter if it's possessive S, as in my baby mama. That's just my baby's mama in classroom English. If it's verbal S, as in he run fast, or even plural S. T and D in syllable codas and at the ends of words can both become a glottal stop. So they get me and meet at the Renaissance Fair. Why is that the example I came up with? Anyway, this can also happen with other consonants, but a little less frequently and less noticeably. Consonant clusters can be simplified if all the consonants have the same voicing, meaning fast can become fast and desk can become desk. Nasals, that's your N's and your M's, can become nasalization on the preceding vowel rather than their own segment at the end of the syllable. So a word like hands could be hands or hand or han or even han, or some other combination like hands that people don't always clock as being fully simplified. But wait, there's more. R sounds and L sounds can be vocalized, that is, become like a vowel sound, or deleted. V after vowels can be deleted. I love that. Do you believe that? So you seemingly lose a lot of information. And these kinds of changes are actually strongly associated with tonogenesis, the development of tone. Glottal stops, remember those T's and D's and sometimes P's and K's that become glottal stops? They're associated with the development of tone. What's super crazy to me is that in related languages, they can go opposite directions depending on if most people were tensing their voices or relaxing into the glottal stops. That's how Navajo ended up with a low tone on all the same words that Slave, a related language, has high tone on, from starting with a more tense than lax voice. And similarly, things like the extremely common pathway in historical linguistic development from S to H to, well, nothing, is associated with the development of tone.
I think that the way I'm seeing things right now, it seems like in the next, let's say, few centuries, Black English right now is gonna be it's gonna be almost like a different language. Maybe the next 200-300 years. It's kind of like like Latin, Mike. Spanish and Italian, I believe. They're all like a version of Latin. They all came,
sure.
Yeah, they both came from Latin, but throughout time, the tone, the syllables, and some of the meaning of the words changed. So it seemed like according to this guy at least, that Black English is taking that same trajectory where it's gonna be like almost different language, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing, tonogenesis can have a rapid onset. Oklahoma Cherokee and North Carolina Cherokee were only separated in 1848. Perhaps you heard about it in school. And Oklahoma Cherokee has 6 tones, where North Carolina Cherokee and their common ancestor has none. There's also cases of contact tonogenesis, where speakers of one language import the tones from another they're in contact with. This has been claimed for Hong Kong English. It's why Russell Peters can do a whole sketch based on just noticing it.
Be a man, do the right thing.
As an aside, I also know a Zulu teacher who sometimes says "that's nice" with the tone pattern of the phrase for "that's nice" in Zulu. So instead of "gamnandi," she'll say "that's nice." It's really charming. In addition to all of that, tonogenesis is attested for at least a few Atlantic Creoles with a similar history of Black English, so Papiamentu and Sarmakan are purported to not only have tone, but to have it based on substrate influences from Bantu languages. So lots of open syllables and the kinds of change that often lead to tone, and there's even another factor about pitch that I'll explain very shortly. And OP can't always follow what people are saying. It sounds like a tonal language, and there's lots of reasons to think tonogenesis could have applied. It's a tempting explanation for sentences like, you don't even know. Which, in English is, you don't even know. But in an informal register of Black English is just all vowels and intonation. But this misses a lot of the picture. First, there's what Charlie Farrington calls incomplete neutralization in his dissertation. Remember those T's and D's that can become a glottal stop? Well, voicing contrast, the difference between a T and a D, is associated with a difference in preceding vowel length in English. If you don't believe me, you can record yourself saying bet and bed or meat and mead and compare the length of the preceding vowel. Native speakers think about this precisely never, but things sound weird if you don't do them. On top of vowel length, you still have the information from nasalization and from part of speech and local context. So a word like lamp can unambiguously correspond to lamps in a sentence like, I turned off all the lamp at the end of my shift at the lighting section. There's also a lack of corresponding minimal pairs, so I didn't say meat for the flesh of a beast and meat for honey ale when talking about the old Renaissance fair. I said meat and mead. There's a big difference between casual speech and careful or even formal speech, and these phenomena are strongly mitigated by degree of formality and attention to speech. So, what's actually going on here? Well, most likely, first, OP is not attuned to Black English coda simplification in all its multifaceted glory. It's like a finely tuned interlocking clockwork mechanism, and without being a totally different language, it's just what we call asymmetrically mutually intelligible. Just like how Danes can understand Norwegians, but not vice versa, or how Portuguese speakers can understand Spanish, but not the other way around. Second, there's well-attested ethnic differences in pitch range, especially affective pitch range in English. The key takeaway here is that Black people and Ashkenazi Jews use a much wider pitch range than like white Anglo-Saxon Protestants in general, including using a falsetto register sometimes. Don't believe me? Listen to Andre 3000.
Forever, 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 ever, forever, ever.
And the example OP gave was between cute and
That's
cute.
so true. That falsetto is a very common thing amongst blacks, Black Americans.
For sure.
You know, when they were, I don't know, like when they want to emphasize something, they will use that high pitch sound to emphasize something. You know, it's very complex, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, I don't even think a lot of Black Americans understand how complex their English is, bro. There's a lot going on.
A lot, bro.
Forever, forever, ever, forever, ever.
And the example OP gave was between cute and cube. I'm not sure I've ever heard anybody say cute without some kind of emphasis, and more often than not, it's cutesy wootsy affect. That's so cute. And like, this is borne out in the corpus of African American language as well.
Oh, it's so cute. Oh, your daughters are so cute.
So, Las Vegas Black English isn't tonal. But at the same time, there's
I love that, the falsetto part. I don't know, like, it just adds more dimension to, like, for example, like cute. If someone says, oh, you're cute, yeah, it's nice, but like, if it's nice compared to like if someone else say, you're very cute.
Yeah.
There's more emotion to it, right? Like,
For sure.
you appreciate it a bit more, so there's more dimensions to
of coda deletion, ethnic differences between the speaker and the listener here in how pitch is used, and the actual speakers are attending to different things like vowel length and nasalization, not to mention part of speech and context, to recover a lot of the missing information. It's actually all there. It's just a great illustration of how phonological rules work differently in different dialects and language varieties. So is Black American speech becoming tonal? Well, no, not yet. But is it possible? Yes, weirder things have happened. Some varieties of English are thought to be tonal already. Some languages of the Black diaspora have tone from the influence of a Bantu substrate, and language varieties in the US have developed tone in just a few generations. I could see Atlanta going tonal. But for now, what we're looking at is heavy coda cluster simplification, ethnic differences in use of pitch and intonation, asymmetrical mutual intelligibility, and possibly a bias in the specific words focused on. There's not a clear, repeated pitch pattern that takes on grammatical or lexical meaning. Yet. If you like what I'm doing with the channel, you can always support it on YouTube with super thanks or over on Patreon at patreon.com/languagejones. Please leave me a comment, by the way. They are great for the algorithm. And subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, happy learning.
Yeah, that was very complex. I get the idea roughly, but like it's far too complex, for me to understand. I would need to watch this video couple times to to fully grasp.
He's a very intellectual human being, and he's got a lot of knowledge. He's got PhDs.
Yeah.
He's grew up a lot around black people, black culture. So he is one that can speak, even though his color is white. So but you guys can disagree if you don't feel like he should be talking on black culture. I understand.
Yeah, but what's your takeaway though of the black language from?
It's just very tonal, and just the breakdown. Different tones mean different things, and it's interesting.
Yeah, there's more dimensions. I think that's the most simplified way to put it. There's more dimensions to it. There's a lot more going on, and let us know in the comments, guys, what you guys think of the video. Whether you agree, disagree. Let us know in the comments. Sub to our Patreon for music reactions, and that's it.